In The Godfather, we follow Don Vito Corleone's attempts to achieve success in the underworld and protect his family from harm. One of the ways in which he protects his family is by declining to get involved in a shady-looking deal with an international drug dealer, Virgil Sollozzo, known as the Turk. Backed by the Tattaglia family, a rival of the Corleones, Sollozzo wanted Vito's influence with the cops and the courts to protect his men from law enforcement, but Vito refuses. This, of course, leads a Sollozzo, emboldened by his partnership with the Tattaglias, to put out a hit on Vito. Unsuccessful though it was, it kickstarts a chain of events which leads the aging Vito to go into semi-retirement, and the control of the Corleone Empire being handed over to Vito's initially reluctant son Michael. Michael is ostensibly a weak Don, young and out of his depth. Vito made concessions with the other families in order to bring Michael back to the US safely, as he was in exile in Sicily. Now as Don, Michael is unable or unwilling to fight back against the likes of Barzini and other families who are encroaching on their territories and taking over their rackets. Of course, this is all part of Michael's master plan to take out all of his enemies in one clean swoop, but in addition to settling old feuds, Michael also looks to the future, to the casino business in Las Vegas. Enter Moe Greene, a Jewish businessman, mobster and casino owner whom Michael wants to buy out. The Corleones already have Fredo working under Greene, learning the casino business in anticipation of the Corleones moving out to Nevada. But during Michael and Greene's business meeting, Greene is incensed that Michael has the audacity to think that he can buy Greene out, going into a fit of rage and launching insults at the Corleones' new boss. Greene sees Michael's potential move as the Corleones trying to escape New York, with him suggesting they are being chased out of the city by Barzini and the other families. And due to Greene's refusal to open up negotiations and the way he treated Michael, he is added to the Corleone hit list and is ultimately murdered along with the heads of the 5 families. It's interesting that Greene exploded as quickly as he did. This would imply there's a lot more going on under the surface than a simple business proposition from Michael. And there was. As Michael puts it, Greene's casino loses money, and Greene replies by saying, "You think I'm skimming off the top?" Greene is based on Bugsy Siegel, real-life Las Vegas tycoon who is thought by some to have been stealing money from his casino and therefore shortchanging the mob investors who bankrolled the casino in the first place. It is highly likely that Siegel's eventual murder was related to this. Greene says he talked to Barzini and can make a deal where he can still keep his casino. This suggests that for Greene, the sharks have started swooping in, the mobsters are closing in, and he's looking for a way out, a way to keep his business, keep his casinos afloat and his head firmly bullet-free. So this is a man clearly under immense pressure, and along comes this kid, Michael, who thinks he has the audacity to join the big boys looking to put Greene out of business. Looking at it from Greene's angle, you can kind of see why he would flip so suddenly. Interestingly, I think there's another way to look at this scene. Much like how earlier in the film, when Michael discusses and negotiates with the Turk, in reality Michael has no such intentions to come to an agreement. He is there to kill Sollozzo, which he does. Perhaps similarly, Michael never intended on even making a deal with Greene. Perhaps he simply wanted to kill him and take over his casino the old-fashioned way. After all, why buy someone out, paying him huge chunks of cash to make him go away? And he could still even pose a problem after being bought out. Maybe opening up rival casinos, or out of spite trying to take revenge. Why not just kill him? Kill Sollozzo, kill the heads of the 5 families, kill Hyman Roth, kill Fredo, kill everyone who messes with him. That's Michael's way. But how? How can Michael justify in the mob world the murder of Greene, a heavily connected man? Even Bugsy Siegel's death is allegedly supposed to have been voted on by the Commission, the governing body of the Italian-American crime syndicate. Unsanctioned killings that could cause the mob problems, like the killing of Sollozzo and the police captain, could usher in a new period of open warfare. Remember, Michael mentions the Molinari family, who also have financial interest in Greene's casino, as well as who knows how many other mobsters. If Michael takes out Molinari's contact in the casino business and just takes over, they could launch a war. So how could Michael kill Greene and not face repercussions? Well, it links back again to Virgil Sollozzo as the initial example. See, technically, Sollozzo did nothing wrong in trying to assassinate Don Corleone. From our point of view, as outsiders looking in, it's a ridiculous overreaction to have a business proposition be refused and then try and kill the person you try to do business with. But in the mob world, sharing what you have at a cost is regular practice, and this is something Vito refused to do. Of course, the Turk is not part of a mob family, but he has the backing of the Tattaglias, and the Tattaglias had the right to balk at Vito's refusal over a perfectly acceptable business proposition. This means that the Tattaglias putting out a hit on Vito would be seen as justified, as he would be the one seen in the wrong for refusing to share what he had. This is brought up again in the meeting between the heads of the 5 families, where Philip Tattaglia complains that Vito had all the judges and politicians in his pocket and he refused to share them. This gripe from Tattaglia is his entire justification for the war with the Corleones, and in the underworld it is a legitimate beef. A refusal is not the act of a friend, he must share them, as Barzini says. It's not like the old days, he adds, meaning the days when the mob had bosses of bosses and weren't broken up into families who work with each other. Of course, we know that Vito was thinking long term, thinking that the drug business would eventually destroy the mob, and in many ways he was right. And he also did not want his political connections shared, as it would weaken his family and strengthen others. But he was outnumbered in the meeting, so was forced to capitulate. But technically, Don Corleone was in the wrong, and his life was fair game when he refused to share what he had. It's this kind of scenario which Michael is looking to manufacture with Greene, to get Greene into a position where he is seen in the wrong in mob terms, and his life becomes fair game. For Michael to prop up, shoot Greene and declare, "I am the captain now," could start another war, but for him to frame the situation by ostensibly offering Greene a deal and pushing Greene's buttons so he would blow up by telling him the offer was a buyout and therefore Greene would be out of the game with no power, rather than trying to buy a percentage of the casino, Greene would be seen as being in the wrong for not accepting a perfectly reasonable offer, an offer he couldn't refuse given his financial situation and the fact that the mob were losing money because of him. Heck, if Michael offered him a deal and then took over the casino after Greene was killed and started making money, it would be seen as a great investment, and the other families, the Molinari family in particular, would have no reason to attack Michael. Rather, they'd praise his work. If we take a dip into the book the film is based on, we'd see that it was the Corleones themselves who funded much of Greene's work with the casinos. So in many ways, it's a case of investors not getting their returns, so firing the director. Only in this case, it's a literal firing of a gun into the eye of the director. So it's because of Michael's father that Greene is even in business. All Michael had to do was frame the situation in such a way that it would look like he made Greene a perfectly reasonable offer and Greene was in the wrong for refusing. Had he straight up killed him, he would have likely faced repercussions from the Molinaris, who'd be furious that Michael damaged their mutual business venture. By refusing business, Greene gave Michael exactly what he wanted, a legitimate reason to kill him, something, if we go by this theory, he always wanted to do in the first place. He just needed a reason. Michael is similar to Barzini in this regard, the mastermind behind the Sollozzo affair, as Barzini probably would not stop until he killed Don Vito and wiped out the Corleones, given the way he was encroaching on the Corleone turf even after the peace was agreed. He was swallowing them up, so clearly it was not just a case of Barzini being irritated that Vito refused to share his judges and politicians. As I explained in my video, What If Don Corleone Accepted Sollozzo's Offer, Barzini would always have wanted to kill Vito, and he knew Vito would refuse Sollozzo's offer. Vito turning down Sollozzo was just what Barzini needed for Vito's blood to be made legal. So what do you think of this theory? Do you think Michael intentionally wound up Greene in order for Michael to show the mob world that Greene was being unreasonable and thus was a legitimate target for assassination? Do you think Michael always had the intention of killing Greene, not just because of this, but because he beat Fredo in public? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Before we finish, I'd just like to thank my patrons, Nicholas Curtis, Daniel P, Countess von Zarovich, and also my channel members, Michael Awatwi, Rikers, Damien Irving, Lan Deng, Joe Grossberg, and Cam Medina.